Well, welcome back to the Ropes Family Podcast, episode 91. We are sitting in a dark room. We normally rely on the sunlight to illuminate this room.
Nope.
Because we don't have a light in this room. So we rely on the sunlight, but it's cloudy outside. So it's like we're just sitting in. We need like a fireplace or like a.
That would be fantastic.
Or we probably just need to hang. The lights are in the room.
The lights are sitting right here.
We just haven't.
I bet I could do it.
Well, also,
I believe in me.
the problem is there's not a light switch.
Oh, there's not a. What?
Yeah, we got the strangest kind of building in here. We don't have.
What's that switch do?
That is to raise and lower the projector screen in the other room.
Huh.
Or it turns off the light in front of the projector.
Okay, that's weird.
I think. So
welcome to our building.
Welcome to our building. Every room has maybe one plug in our church.
Yes.
Because back in the day when they built this, I guess electricity wasn't that big of a deal. But now
They didn't have electricity.
So now we have extension cords and what are those called? Power strips everywhere to be able to just run electricity. But yeah, partially we have these. Well, and the lights we did buy, they're remote controlled, so we can turn them off at least with a light.
Oh, look at us.
But we just don't have a light, so we can't turn the electricity off at the light switch to be able to put the light up. So we have to turn it off at the breaker, but we don't know where the breaker is because this church was built forever ago, and
This is getting good.
Well, yeah, like there's a chance that somebody could be electrocuted, and I'm not very good enough. I'm not very good enough.
Very good enough.
Very good enough at electricity to be able to.
All right, I think we're just gonna nix the light idea. We'll just sit in the dark.
No, we'll just use the sunlight. It's
Fine.
just one day it gets all twilighty outside.
We have phone flashlights.
Oh, yeah,
it's
phone
fine.
flashlights. Yeah, whatever. It's not that dark in here.
No, it's really not.
It's really not. Like we can clearly see. It's just funny. But anyway, you didn't need to know any of that for the last 2 minutes. I just thought it was a funny. I thought it was a funny thing that where you can just, it just paints the picture for you guys while we're in our little conversation here. So today, what are we talking about, Courtney?
Anger.
So it was Wednesday night last night, and we were trying to figure out what are we going to talk about in the morning because we had to push the podcast back because babysitting and things like that needed to happen, and field trips yesterday. That's what it was. There was field trips and things.
Yeah.
So we needed to move the podcast recording day, and so I put it out of my brain of trying to figure out what to talk about. And so we were talking about, and I think what kind of spawned this was yesterday after church and before church, Easton was having a meltdown.
Full out
meltdown, like just, he's 3 years old, so he's going to have a meltdown, and that's normal. But I had to leave the room because I'm like, he's not going to listen to me. And so that's why we're talking about anger, is trying to figure out how to handle our anger, where it comes from or what even anger is. Mm-hmm. So we just thought this would be a fun thing to talk about. Not that, and there's different levels of anger, and I kind of want to get into that a little bit, but let's start with the definition of anger.
Anger is a strong feeling of displeasure and usually antagonism.
Antagonism.
Yeah. Usually of antagonism. I can read. Sorry.
That's from Webster's?
It's from Webster. Merriam-Webster.
Miriam. What a name.
It's a good one.
Miriam. If your name's Miriam and you're listening, shout out. What's up, Miriam?
And then AI says a strong, intense emotional state of displeasure, frustration, or hostility, often induced by a perceived threat, injustice, or annoyance.
Yeah. So, Courtney, how do you deal with anger?
Well, I plead the fifth. I'm not going to talk about my anger. No, I used to be a very angry person. Like when I was in my early 20s, I had a pretty bad temper, and I would go from like 0 to 100 in a second. Mm-hmm. And I really had to work on that because no one deserves that. Even if you make me super, super angry, you don't deserve me losing my mind on you. So I started really, I read a book about responding, not reacting. And taking time to think. When something makes you mad or someone makes you mad, you have to give it a second. You cannot just automatically fly off the handle. You have to take a second, breathe, think about, how should I handle this? How would Jesus react to this? I know he flipped tables, but he probably would not have gone off and yelled at someone. No, he wouldn't have. He would not have yelled at someone and acted a fool.
Yeah.
And so that really, taking that time to respond and not react, not saying that I'm perfect, because I still ask my kids, will lose my temper. But it takes a lot. And it's so different from what I used to be.
Yeah, you used to ask your kids.
Yeah, don't ask my kids, actually.
No,
but.
like, I'm the same way. I'm like, and this is kind of part of it. Like, I will be interacting with my children at some point, you know. And sometimes you have, as dads, you got to kind of get firm.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times, or if you have my children, they just push you until you get past the point. And there've been a few instances. I'm like, they're 3 years old.
Yeah.
I don't need to match their energy, but I have a habit of matching people's energy of regardless of what energy they have. Like I could be like just kind of chill or even sad. But if somebody comes up and has like happy energy, I'm gonna match that. I don't know if that's probably something wrong with me, but I'll match energy. And so I need to remember a lot of times not to match the energy of my 3-year-old. That's why I had to leave the room yesterday, because I'm like, dude, you know. So, and there's other instances where I'll be actively parenting my children. And, you know, I'm like, I'll have a moment and it'll be like, what if God was talking to me like this? Or does God do that? I'm saying the wildest things to my kid. Like, don't put your shoes on. You just do whatever. I don't care what you do. And I'm like, I just lose my temper or whatever. And I'm like, I got, and I'm like, is God in this with me like that? And I don't know if God is probably more patient than I am.
Yeah.
But God does get angry.
But he wipes some countries off the map and things, or some civilizations.
So I mean, there are yeah. He deals with unrighteousness in different ways, you know. So, but there's just been instances where, and I think it's conviction. You know, the Holy Spirit convicted me. Like, hey, this is probably not the best way to handle things. You know, you need to take a deep breath. They're 3 years old, 7 years old.
I have a teen.
9 years
He's
old.
almost 15.
Yeah.
And I really want to go toe to toe with him a lot. And I find myself walking out the back door and standing in the backyard. It's either that or I'm going to lose my mind, because he will argue until the cows come home. He will argue and argue and argue and argue, even if he's wrong.
Yeah.
And I will lose my mind. So I spend a lot of time not matching his energy.
Yeah, it's a good point. And so I think that we've had some listeners of ours, you know, they have teenagers. So what are some ways that we can kind of parent our teenagers through those kind of tough times where there's no right answer for the teenager. They don't want anything we have to say. They don't want anything anybody has to say. They just kind of want to be on their own and do their own thing. What are some ways that we can kind of parent them through that? Or
I can tell you an instance that we just went through. Our son asked to do something. We will be out of town on this day, so he cannot do it.
Yeah.
Well, he got furious. I mean, acted out, started like almost throwing a fit like Easton, but it was the dishes, and he was like clanking them into the dishwasher and like, and so I said, you can stop or I can take your phone. And it got worse. And so I was like, I'm going to ignore it. I'm not talking to him. And my husband was like, well, do you want me to go talk to him? I said, no one's talking to him. Just give him his space. So he went about his business. He threw his little fit. He took a shower. He got out, and I went in there and I was like, hey, I need a picture of you tomorrow for this thing they're doing. And he tried to be ugly to me. And I said, I didn't do anything to you. This is a time that you cannot possibly do this because we will not be here. So you're going to have to decide that you're either going to be happy or you can be miserable, but you're making yourself this way because it's not us just saying no because we're mean. We're literally not going to be in town. And I walked out. And he talked to me after that, but he's still so, what's the word? Selfish. Independent. It's nicer. But it's just their brains are so focused on them and what they want, what they want. It doesn't matter that the whole rest of the family has to be somewhere else. He wants to do this. But I think giving them some space and time to process stuff really helps if I can just calm myself down and let him do that.
Well, and I think that's the shift between young kids and older teenagers. Like, when younger kids are angry, they don't want space.
Oh, heck no.
They want everybody else to be miserable.
They want to, like, sit in your lap and lose their minds.
Yeah. And so, and the difference is, like, space. Yeah, I think that's one thing, is that these teenagers are becoming adults and trying to figure this out. And you want to set them up to be able to handle this. You don't want them to be 25 throwing a fit in the store because the bananas are on the ground or something. You know, like, you got to, I don't know where the bananas came from. I don't even have any. I just speaking. But, you know, I think modeling anger for our kids is probably a good way to teach them too. You know, and we go to the back to that all the time, is modeling behavior. Yeah, I was angry as a teenager and I didn't know what I wanted. I was just mad. Yeah. Allison told me the other day, she's like, "You're just grumpy. Why are you so And I don't know. It's probably because I'm 30-something, 33. I'm 33, I'm grumpy. So I'm just grumpy. And she's like, "Why are you so grumpy? You look like you hate your life all the time." I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to. I might be grumpy, but who knows? There's a lot going on. But anyway.
But I think also teaching our kids that anger is an okay emotion to have.
Yeah.
It's just how you respond, how you use that anger. Because it's okay to go sit in your room by yourself. But it's not okay to throw fits or not as little kids, but as big kids. Not okay to throw fits. It's not okay to lash out and say mean, hurtful things. But it's okay if you're furious and you need to take a few minutes, you can. It's just how you use that anger.
Yeah, and I think there's instances of that in the Bible. I was looking this up before. I use this tool called Logos, and it has it's called a study assistant. It's basically AI that searches through all the books that are listed in AI in Logos, all my books that I have in Logos, and it kind of just puts it all in one spot. And I asked it the question, are there instances in the Bible where believers are mad at God? Because I was like, yeah, of course there are. You know, it mentioned things like Job. You know, Job opens his mouth to curse the day of his birth, right? He was pretty mad. I mean, obviously he
had a lot to be mad about.
Yeah, he had a lot to be mad about. And then the psalmist, you know, like, how long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? You know, how long will you hide your face from me? You know, or why do you cast my soul away? Or why do you hide your face from me? All these are like laments. And I think that's the way that, and it says at the bottom, it says, God allows lament, a reflection of anger, without punishing the angry person in their complaint. You know, so God allows us to express our anger. God is not afraid of our anger. I tell the youth kids all the time that God is not afraid of our questions. You know, He's
bigger than them.
He's bigger than the questions. He's not afraid of the questions. He's not going to be like, "Oh, that's a good question. I don't know how to answer that."
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same thing with anger. I was listening to this podcast the other day, and it's one that I listened to quite a bit. But they said something really wild, and I didn't necessarily agree with what he said. He said he was in this panel, and somebody asked him the question. He's like, "Is it okay to be mad at God?" And that piqued my interest, because there's a couple things going on in our community that could cause people to maybe be mad at God. You know, or I've heard people specifically say, like, I'm mad.
Yeah.
You know, why do these things happen? You know, and his answer, which I didn't necessarily agree with. He said, if you're mad at God, I would question your faith. I would question that you have the faith, that you have a strong faith. He said you might have a little bit, like a small faith. Because if you're mad at God, you're questioning his power. You're questioning the reason why he does things. And I was like, well, I guess maybe there's some truth to that. You know, like like Romans 8:28, he works all things for the good of those who love him according to his purposes. Like, and that's kind of what they said. They said we either believe Romans 8:28 or we don't. You know, which we do, obviously. We hold to that. We do believe that God works all things out for good, but I think that we can still be angry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like God's not God's not afraid of our anger. You know, there's like, and that's what I looked it up. Like, you know, like God doesn't want us to sin in our anger.
Right.
God wants us to ask questions. You know, sometimes like anger helps us to process, helps us to get to the root of why we're there. You know, and I think that's, I don't think we need to live in our anger. Mm-hmm. Live in our, and, you know, talk to God about it. You know, don't just be like, oh, I'm mad at God and just forget it.
Right.
You know, so maybe walking out of the room and getting some space, but is not the right way to do it in God's perspective.
No, not.
Take it to God. Like I said,
not
God,
when you're angry with
God. God is, like I said, God is not afraid of our anger. You know, I was curious more, and I asked this AI assistant or whatever, I said, is anger inherited from God because we're created in the image of God? And it was like, well, I don't think however, you know, anger is not God's like main trait. God has expressed anger, you know, a couple times, you know, like you said earlier, he wiped out some nations, right? And he flipped some tables. But that's not God's main trait, and that's shouldn't be ours. But out of anger, I think and if anger is used responsibly, then we can bring about change and good change, right? I think that anger kind of helps us. It's almost like sadness. Like we don't want to feel that way, so we try to solve the problem.
Right.
And a lot of times God is the only one that can solve our anger problems, usually. Or whatever, getting or what we want will help us. Will help us solve our anger problems. But I was really kind of thrown by that podcast and so that's another important thing is to, when you listen to podcasts, ours included, do your own research and kind of see what kind of, if we say something strange, ask us, you know.
Yeah.
There's a little link on the bio that you can send us a text. Ask us, or, you know, like, because I'm figuring this out along with everybody else.
Hey, but I've had people actually do that, so.
Yeah. Ask you questions. Like,
hey, where'd y'all get that from? Or, hey, why did y'all say whatever?
Yeah.
So.
But I think that, all that to say, I think that there's a way to deal with anger, and I think it's different for everybody. Sometimes, like you said, you need to go sit outside or stand outside. When you said that, I imagine. Have you seen the Pablo Escobar documentary movie?
No.
There's this scene in the documentary or movie or whatever where he's just like standing in an empty pool by himself.
That's how I feel, actually.
Which I don't know if this is a great movie to reference. It's a meme. I've just seen the meme of it.
Oh, I've seen the meme.
Yeah. He's like, or sitting on like a swing out by himself.
Yeah.
That's what I imagined when you said you wouldn't sit outside.
That's actually what it is. If I had an empty pool, I could just stand in it. 'Cause...
Yeah, there are, and it's good to kind of get away, you know, or sometimes I'll just go listen to like really screaming heavy music just to like get it out. And that kind of helps sometimes, or sometimes it's a mindset shift.
I will say now, my anger is usually more due to like injustice, or I feel like someone's not being treated fairly, or I feel like, when it's not dealing with my teen's attitude, okay, this is separate. But I just don't feel like my anger is as, what's
sinful.
the word? Like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm
more righteous.
When I'm angry, it's usually for something that's like
injustice.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh my gosh, I didn't get my blah, blah, blah. But it's like someone was treated wrong.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I get it.
I was thinking about that last night.
Yeah. I've kind of picked that up from Elliot. Elliot's 7. He will usually only get angry if he feels like somebody's not being treated fairly, and it's usually himself.
Hey, it was me the other night in class, though. They wouldn't stop talking last Wednesday, and I had stood there forever. I was trying to play a game. They wouldn't stop talking, and he stood up and yelled at everyone, and I was like, yeah.
He
Keep going, buddy.
Yeah, he's like, he just doesn't like to be, he wants everything to be fair.
Like, Miss Courtney is waiting on us. Be quiet. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, but sometimes that leads him into like, so we've been trying to figure out how, this is my personal goal with that is I got to teach him that life isn't fair.
Yeah.
And so like, hey, you can stand up and fight for fairness, but you're going to realize that like, life's not fair, you know, and I guess fighting for fairness or fighting for injustice is a good thing. I probably should nurture in him, but I just don't want him to get, and maybe this is the wrong thing. Maybe I just don't want him to get in situations where he's like, you know, feels like everything's unfair and he's just, there's no point to do anything.
I get that.
And he has 3 siblings. And so that's going to be like, life's just not going to be fair. You know, like there's no way we can do everything the same for all 4 kids.
Right.
I'm like, hey man, life's not fair. Emerson's going to eat 10 granola bars sometimes.
Still so funny.
That doesn't mean you can have 10. Emerson's going to be sick from me. Funny story. Emerson told me the other day, she's like, Daddy, I'm going to try to eat my dinner. But I'm just telling you, I ate 10 granola bars. And so
10. And I don't even like granola bars, but that's just a lot.
And I was like, you ate 10 granola bars? And I couldn't even be mad.
Like, where do you put
what are you even doing with 10 granola bars?
Yeah.
She's like, Dad, I was just hungry. I said, I don't think I've ever eaten 10 granola bars in a sitting ever.
Never
It's
eaten
cookies.
one.
I could eat 10 cookies.
Oh, I could eat 10 cookies.
You know, so I was trying to put it in my own perspective. I could eat 10 cookies, but granola bars are bigger than cookies.
They are. They're more filling, too.
Yeah. It's like, have you not eaten all day or something or whatever? She really enjoys granola bars anyway. But teaching our kids I'm trying to teach him that life's not fair, you know, and because he's going to grow up and knowing that. And I think that, you know, I've seen large families or large kid families as they grow up, you know, they kind of have this angst about them maybe, or maybe this is not all of them, but I've seen this with some people. I'm not going to get into specifics because I'm not trying to make them mad. Is, you know, like as they're not anybody knows on this podcast. So like as they became adults, like there's a lot of resentment between the siblings because, you know, maybe somebody felt like they were slighted by somebody else or they couldn't get all the attention from the parents that they wanted or needed, you know, like there's things like that has, and so I'm trying to nip that quickly, you know, like, hey, just because we have 4 kids doesn't mean that I don't love any of my kids less. Yeah. You know, or
I tell my kids my favorite kid changes on who's behaving. I don't actually have one, but when one's acting really nice, I like that one the best.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other ones are being little toots. Yeah. Pass.
It's just funny when all 3 of them or all 4 of them are acting a fool.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I like the dog. I tell them that all the time, actually.
Or the tortoise.
Yeah, or Bob. He locked my dog outside last night, so he's in trouble. But.
Bob is a tortois.
Bob
if you guys weren't, he's what, 150 pounds or something? 100-pound tortoise that they have. But just a
random.
But now I think we're rambling. But anyway, so do you got anything else?
Yes, I just have one verse.
Okay.
That really means a lot to me, and it's James 1:19-20. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness. Wow, that was a hard word. That God desires.
Yeah, human anger.
Human anger.
Yeah. So be slow, take it easy, be patient, take a beat. You know, because we've caught ourselves. Like I said, I catch myself saying some of the wildest things.
If you don't put your shoes on, you're gonna have to go to school barefoot, and you're never gonna get a job one day. It doesn't do with anything. That's the worst. It's the dumbest thing.
You're never gonna get a job, son.
The kind of stuff I say all the time. Like, that was wild. Fine, don't eat. Starve to death.
Yeah. What?
You're not gonna let them starve to death? Okay, sorry.
I shared the story yesterday. And we could talk about anger, I guess, forever.
Yeah.
I was telling the story yesterday in youth that we are always looking for shoes. There is not an instance, there's not a day in our life that we're not looking for somebody's shoes. Sometimes it's
usually one at our house.
It's a shoe. We're looking for a shoe. All my kids have multiple pairs of shoes, but none of them at the same time. Mm-hmm. No two of the same. So sometimes we're looking for Emerson's shoes. Sometimes we're looking for Elliot's shoes. Sometimes we even look for Allison's shoes. We're never looking for my shoes because my shoes I take my shoes off when I get into bed and I put them right back on when I get out of bed.
You and Ben can go talk about this later.
But I know where my shoes are. Okay. And then, but 97.8% of the time we are looking for Easton's shoes. And
I can't imagine.
And then when we find him, he doesn't want to put them on. He's like, "No, I'm not putting these shoes on. No, absolutely not. I'm not going to." I'm like, "Fine, I'm gonna leave you here. I'm gonna commit a felony.
Yourself.
I'm gonna commit a felony. I'm gonna go to prison for years and years for leaving you at our house
because you wouldn't put your shoes
because
on.
you wouldn't put your shoes on. That's how crazy I'm about to get."
I feel that.
And now, listen, I've never done that. I promise you, I haven't done that.
It's a great empty threat, though.
I have definitely said it. I'm gonna leave you here.
Same.
I said it this morning.
I always say stuff. Unhinged.
Yeah, unhinged. Yeah. So, but I probably need to realize or learn to take a beat. Just hey, he's not gonna put his shoes on if you tell him to. So just go put his shoes on him. That's probably what I need to be doing. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to because I'm just as stubborn as they are.
I know, same.
So, but anyway, all this podcast about anger, we didn't really solve any of the anger problems, but we're just showing you that we're all angry sometimes. Yeah. We're all a little bit angry sometimes. But in our anger,
just how you handle it.
We need to not sin.
Correct.
Because I don't think that's the right way to do it. Obviously.
I don't think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, and all right, you got anything else? You got a family challenge?
Well, actually, yes. Because with the end of the school year, there's a lot of stress. Mm-hmm. And especially on our older kids. I mean, the little kids are like, hey, we played 400 games and played outside all day.
We watched TV.
Yes. But the big kids are like, we have this test, this test, this test. And they're so stressed. I think, well, from what I've heard from other parents, especially last night, they're lashing out. Mm-hmm. And how we respond is going to make an impact.
Yeah.
So parents, as we're ending the school year, remember to respond with grace.
That is a good point.
I mean, for myself too. This is not me talking to y'all. It's me talking to me. We have got to slow down and respond to these kids and not react because we're also a lot older than them and we need to be mature. Oh, wait, that's me too. Yeah. But seriously, they're under a lot of stress and they don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that I think you're right. That's a good family challenge. I like that. Mm-hmm. And also parents, I think we're a little exhausted.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been taking your kids to practices at 6 in the morning, for 6 months.
Ben.
Here.
Not Courtney.
Like there's so everybody just, we're 2 weeks away.
We're over it.
We can make it. We can make it. Just, we're so close.
The teachers are also done. So just remember, respond with grace to everyone.
Everybody's done
at
this point, But anyway, that's all we got. All right, that's all we got this week. Don't be angry. Don't worry, be happy. All of the cliche things. Hey, you singing the podcast.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you're getting.
Okay, well we'll talk to y'all next week about something. We don't know what it is yet, but it'll probably be good. So we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.